Hey YouTube, Maximilian here. I'm sure most of you watching this video will know me as Pizza Drives on Instagram. And today, for my first YouTube video, I wanted to make a project introduction video. And that project is this one right here. This is my 1979 Porsche 911. Just over 3 years building this car so far. If you've been following on Instagram, you've known I've put quite a bit of time into the shell so far. I'll put a picture here with how I got it. Basically, well, there was nothing on it except for the sheet metal. And over the past 3 years, I've been doing a bunch of welding, body work, starting getting some suspension back on, doing some upgrades. So yeah, for this video, I wanted to do a quick overview of what I've done. I guess a big announcement to start the video. I'm up early at 7 a.m. on Friday, September 19th because I am getting ready to tow this car to the body and paint shop. I'm going to Masterworks in Hudson, New Hampshire, and they're going to do the final finishing touches and get it ready for a paint job because that's a little bit outside of my skill level for body work. So I wanted to start by doing a quick project background. This car is not getting the Porsche flat 6 engine. This car will actually be getting a water-cooled Subaru turbo 4-cylinder engine. And if you've been following me for a while, you may know the purple bug eye I used to have. The engine is out of that purple bug eye. I got it remachined, built with all forged internals. I'll do a video on that later on. So, water-cooled 4-cylinder turbo Subaru. On top of that, it's getting mated to the Porsche 915 transmission with a Kennedy Engineering adapter plate. So, gearbox will remain OEM. Let me start from the front of the car, just showing everything I've done. I might forget some things. I'll try to cover it as best as I can and not make sure this video is not 20 minutes long. So, first thing you may notice, there is a lot missing out of the front of the car here. Because we have a water-cooled engine going in, I need a radiator. And that is where it's going to sit. I got the Renegade Hybrids radiator and fuel cell sort of combo, and I'll be showing that later. Basically, the radiator is going to sit at an angle here in the front. There's going to be a lot of aluminum shrouding. Air comes in the front here and down through where the OEM fuel tank used to sit. The fuel cell, starting from like about right here, takes up the back portion. So the front end is going to be all aluminum. It's going to look nice. Definitely not going to have any storage space in the front here, but that's okay. For welding in the front, I'll put a picture up, but this car had such bad rust right here. You can basically see right through the car. I'm assuming a battery started leaking acid at some point in its life, and it just sat there and it just destroyed that metal. So, as I kept going, I found what I assumed the battery acid traveled into the front here, ended up rotting all the metal to here, which was hidden by the rubber undercoat. And as I was removing the rubber undercoat on this side, I found all the way where the suspension crossmember bolts up, completely rotted out. So, it may be hard to see, but I cut everything from here out. Everything from here out. The whole car was empty here. All of this is freshly welded metal. And me being a genius, I decided to do this as my first project with the car. And honestly, it was difficult, it was definitely stressful, but it came out fairly nicely. You can obviously tell it's been reworked, but I didn't want to cover it up completely because I want to see everything I've done to this car. You can see from the outside here, the lower portion of this fender, right to here, you can see weld lines in there, all the way to the back there, right where this cross member bolts up, all gone. So, that was the first major job, all welded back together. Another thing you may notice, the whole interior here is covered in a bed liner. I used a Raptor liner. I didn't want to use any rubber undercoat, rubber bed liner, because that just traps moisture, and that's how this car got so bad in the first place. This stuff is a 2-part epoxy, so you can kind of hear. It cures hard. No rubber, no nothing. I like that better. Probably protects from chips. It gives it a more professional look, more professional feel. So I think that's the front end here. the next thing I welded in, well, not chronologically, but just going from front to back, we have these sway bar stiffening plates. This car is getting converted to a through body sway bar, so drilled the holes, welded on the plate. I don't have the sway bar yet, but it's all prepared. I wanted to get it done before any possible paint. I don't think I'm gonna have them paint the wheel well or like the interior parts, but I just wanted it all done just in case. So I did the same on the other side. You can kind of see it in there. I guess since we're here, we'll talk about suspension. I have, let me turn the wheel here. The front is Bilstein RSR coilovers. So this car was originally a shock and torsion bar suspension design. I am converting it to a coilover suspension. And to complement all of that, I got this very nice, fully adjustable control arm set from Patrick Motorsports. Part of the reason I wanted a full adjustable control arm set is just in case I didn't weld things perfectly in order and the car doesn't drive straight. Hopefully a combination of all these parts I bought will help realign it. I'm hoping. So that's suspension. I got Bilstein RSR on both sides. Guess we'll move to the smuggler's box next. So, this is going to tie into the coolant, which I'll talk about later, but there have been a lot of modifications in the smuggler's box, which is where I'm going to sort of have a junction hub type deal going on in here for all the coolant lines. Steering's in just to make going to the paint shop easier, just so we can move it around the shop and so we can get it out of the yard here. There's one thing I want to talk about. I've been building this car on the muddiest side of my house for the past 3 years, dealing with bugs, mosquitoes, wasps just last week. It has been a mess. This is definitely not the ideal location to be building a car like this, but I feel like that will make it feel so much more rewarding when the car is actually driving and on the road, if it ever is. Okay, so I think that covers the front end pretty nicely. I got Raptor liner as far up as I could go. Definitely got dusty and dirty. I might give it another coat right now before I take it over to the shop, but we'll see. Depends how quick this video goes. I know these usually have some issues with the car. There's some rust forming from like metal dust. I need to vacuum that out and clean it up. There was a little bit of pitting here. I just did I didn't even sand this down yet. This is just like body filler over it. On this side it was a little bit worse. You can't really tell, but up to here was just rotted. There's like a hole going through looking into the frunk. I got most of it. I haven't finished it. I think I'm just tapping out of Bodywork. I think I'm gonna let the shop handle that because I'm just a little bit over that. But it came out nice, like right to here. So the first stuff I did was pretty good. It looks fairly OEM. Okay, let's move to the interior compartment. Not much was done here. I guess we'll talk about doors first. The doors that came with the car were rusted, full of dirt and broken glass. I ended up just selling them. I almost wish I didn't, because I didn't realize how hard it was to get new doors without having to pay $1 million for shipping. But I ended up finding some. This used to be a race door. You might be able to tell there's a seam sealer job here. This panel was originally chopped off. I found a donor door that was rusted out, but this panel was fine, so I cut this door card panel out of that door and welded it onto this one. I also did a full treatment on the inside here. There's a little bit of like leaves and dirt that fell in, but I treated it for rust. I did epoxy primer. I seam sealed it, did another coat of epoxy primer, and then Raptor liner over it. I know this little channel here is where these doors like to rust out on the bottom, so hopefully that does not happen with this. You can sort of see on the inside, I got this door latch off of eBay, and it worked perfectly. I might do something funky with the latchet here. I don't know if you can see, but just pulling on this latch is what activates the mechanism. So I might do like a custom interior handle, because I don't want everything back on this door. I want it to be sort of a race spec. Okay, so moving on to the actual compartment. Nothing crazy here. I cleaned it all up. This whole car was sandblasted. Maybe I'll put some pictures before it was sandblasted. This car was getting rusty. I was so happy when I saw it actually bare metal, no rust for once. And right after I did that, I set up with a spray gun, 2-part epoxy, and I think it took me 7 hours just to spray this whole entire car down. It was an unreal feeling seeing it all in white, just no rust, no nothing. Once I let that epoxy cure, that's when I did the Raptor liner, and you can see just all in here. It's gotten dirty because I've done a lot of work in here since then, but it's a nice hard coating. I might do another coat in here as well. I feel like it just makes the car look a little bit more racy, a little bit more nice. I probably will be doing Dynamat on the inside, maybe a carpet. Well, if I do Dynamat, I will do a carpet because it's going to look pretty bad. But I wanted to make sure this base layer was durable. So actually, let me move over to the passenger side so we can talk about the coolant. So I'm doing something fairly unsafe with the coolant, but it's going to be awesome, so it doesn't matter. From the smuggler's box, I cut out these pass-throughs. There's going to be 3D printed sort of flanges going on them, so it's going to look nice. Front and rear. The coolant lines are going under the passenger seat. And on top of that, I'm cutting out 1-foot sections, starting right here, for both the feed and return line, to put a clear polycarb or borosilicate glass tube. My idea, or my vision for this, is that when I'm driving, you'll be able to see the coolant flowing to the radiator and back from the radiator. I'll probably put a little bit of UV dye in there and maybe put some UV LEDs so it looks like the coolant's glowing. But I figured that would be a pretty cool thing that I'm definitely doing. It might be a little tacky, it might be a little corny, but it's happening no matter what. So yeah, sorry for the passenger when it explodes and you get 200-degree coolant all over you. Maybe I'll have you sign a waiver before you sit in this thing. So that's the coolant here. That explains these holes. Yeah, I don't have any of the dash yet, but I got some pieces downstairs. All of that's going to be installed after paint, though. It's not a big deal for now. So this is where it gets interesting. You might have seen me show it on this video already. This is a custom aluminum rear seat delete. If you've been following me on Instagram, you might have seen that I 3D scanned this back area. The rear seats in this car were rusted out, full of pinholes. Not worth even saving that metal with how intricate the panels would have to be, so I cut all the rear seats out. I'm not planning on having anyone in rear seats anyways for this car, so those were gone. So from the 3D scan, I brought these into SolidWorks, or I brought the 3D scan into SolidWorks and did an overlay. It's a little bit dirty with fingerprints. I didn't really have a chance to clean it. I'm actually pulling these out before it goes to the shop, which is why I want to do the video now. Straight from SolidWorks. The dimensions are straight from the 3D scan, so I am actually very happy with how that came out. I had to maybe trim down one corner of this little vertical piece in the center, but that was about it. I did the lowest tolerance in that, just so it sort of acts as the cornerstone to align everything else, and I think it worked out perfectly. The 3D scanner I'm using is the Einstar 3D handheld scanner, so for a budget 3D scanner, I mean, I set a 5mm clearance to the edges, and that is pretty much exactly what I got. Let me show the back side real quick. These are held up. They're still a little wobbly. I haven't done these brackets. I'm gonna do like little L brackets on both panels. I haven't done those yet because those aren't really important for getting the holes drilled. You can see I got these 3D printed brackets holding everything up right now. I'm going to be stiffening these with aluminum DIN 3 rails, which I think is mainly used by electricians, but just so they don't sag and so they actually give me mounting points. And I need mounting points because one interesting thing I'm doing here, this top panel is where the intercooler gets mounted. So we have a turbo car. I need an intercooler somewhere. I'm going to cut out a hole in the middle of this panel. With the DIN 3 rail, I'm going to bolt the intercooler to this, and air will be coming in through the quarter window. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. They sell some ducts. I'm considering even 3D printing a nice frame so I can do like a custom air intake here. Yeah, but it's going to come in. There's going to be a shroud over the radiator, the intercooler. It's going to look cool. For this piece, I'm planning on mounting, well, a subwoofer is 100% happening. Maybe on one side, both sides, the center. I don't really want something so heavy in the center though, so definitely at least on one side. The ECU, all the electronics will be mounted to this. I guess I should back up a little bit. One thing, my goal for this car is to have it be as cyberpunk as possible. That's like my favorite aesthetic. It's my favorite game too. And if some of you may know that there is a 911 in that game, so I'm taking a little bit of inspiration from that. Just a little bit. Most of this is going to be my own sort of take on cyberpunk. So I'm planning on having like the ECU mounted here with all the other electronics, and the wires will be all nicely routed with cable clips and all of that. It's going to look cool. LEDs are going to be everywhere. This car will have underglow. Sorry for everyone who hates it. I'm doing it no matter what. So yeah, that's the rear seat delete. I want to shout out my homie Cameron Prees for allowing me to use the plasma cutter he has available to him. Basically, he sent me a text saying he has this plasma cutter at work and he can use it after hours. So I pulled up to his work one day with a big sheet of aluminum, some DXF files, and we got this done. All the holes were plasma cut, all the shapes were plasma cut, all came out nice. So thanks, Cam. That was a lifesaver, and it came out beautifully. What welding have I done in here? Oh yeah, here's a pretty interesting story. You may notice this whole wheelhouse here, there's a little bit of like a weld line. You can see where I did some seam sealer. This was super rotted on the car. And it's a hard panel to find without buying a whole half of the car basically. So I posted it on a Facebook group, and this guy from Portugal didn't speak any English except for like one-word answers. He used to rally a 911 and he had a broken up shell. I'm sure it was rusted out, but he was willing to cut out this square for me and ship it over from Portugal. And that's what I have in this car now. This is a Portuguese piece of sheet metal from a rally car that is now welded into my car. Pretty cool. I like the idea that this car was made with pieces from all over the world. So yeah, that is basically all of that. I guess I should probably show some of my not good work. I don't know what better way to say that. Unfortunately, the rocker panels in the back were bad on both sides of this car, and I'm just not happy with how it turned out for my skill wise. The panels did not fit too well to begin with, which I learned later is something you kind of have to account for when buying some of the aftermarket panels. It's a little bit too late for me now though. I'll show it on video even though I really don't want to, but they just came out atrociously. I'm hoping Masterworks, if you're watching this, you can fix this. Yeah, I guess here we go. This is not good. It might look okay in video, but it is not okay. I cut out the rocker here, welded this piece in. You can see there's like a sag here. This rocker was like, it wanted to sit out more than the actual factory rocker. So I had to massage it into place a little bit, and now I got this wrinkly trash piece of metal, so I'm hoping that can be fixed. On top of that, this whole quarter panel, from here, I put body filler here so you can't really tell there's a weld line. This whole entire quarter panel was replaced. It was all rusted, it had rot everywhere, huge holes on the top here. This car was in an, well, I should back up even more. This car was in a fire in the back here, which affected the left side of the car. So the left door was toast, this left quarter panel was toast, and there was a cut here to do a replacement section. At some point I just decided there's too much wrong with the quarter panel, so I ended up buying a new one, and I just tossed this on. It, alignment wise, it's pretty good. Everything came out pretty happy. The wheel is centered, although I don't know if there's an alignment yet. Well, there's definitely not an alignment yet, so that doesn't matter too much, but the window frame is nice. The quarter panel went into all the places it should have. But, except when I put it on top of the rocker panel piece I welded here, it just got even worse. Okay, I can't even look at this anymore, that is so garbage. The other side is just as bad. Maybe a little better, but it's still pretty trash. I cut the rocker panel here. I still haven't ground down the weld. I just got tired of it, didn't want to look at it anymore. And most of this quarter panel is fine, except for the front section with the door striker plate. You can see there's a weld line here. That came out alright, but it's a little wrinkly. I'm hoping that can be fixed. And this striker plate was replaced. You can see my, oof, this looks worse on camera. I had to fold that over and sort of hammer it down to match the body line of the striker plate I welded in. And the seam to the rocker panel, just not good. Whatever. I'm hoping that can be fixed. What else? Oh yeah. This car had a sunroof, so I welded in a sunroof delete panel. That came out alright. I had some help from my brother. Got it done, welded in. Definitely needed some body filler on top, so I did that. It came out decently. It still needs some final work. I'm going to tell them that. So yeah. Okay, moving on to the back. Because this car had a coil, or it will be coilover converted, I needed to strengthen these strut tower caps. When people do coilover conversions on these cars, these are known to just crack right off. So I have these little braces, gussets from Elephant Racing, welded it on both sides. That came out pretty nice. Hopefully it is enough for the coilover conversion. Nothing much was adjusted in the back here. These engine mounts had to be welded in, and I just wrapped or linered the inside. I removed like one of those sheet metal pieces here, because obviously there's not an OEM engine going into this car. The aluminum trailing arms were rebuilt by Elephant as well, new bearings and everything. Of course the rotors got rusty from sitting for so long. New handbrake handbrake cables and parking shoes on the inside. The spring plates are actually not torsion bar, they are just a Heim joint in the front. It's got dirty in here from sitting for a while, but with coilovers I don't need any torsion bars anywhere, and I sort of wanted to remove them because they seem like a pain to deal with. I prefer a nice Heim joint here. And yeah, this back light panel was also welded in. That came out pretty nice. I'm happy with the alignment on that. The car is not fully aligned ride height on both sides, so that's why things might look a little funky. But yeah, that's basically the extent of the welding. Of course, I didn't talk about the million patch panels I made and stuff on the inside of the car that you can't see. It was a solid 3 years of welding to get this car done. And I guess one final point, this car is getting a 6-point roll cage, which I have in a pile of scrap metal right here. Because the Subaru engine will likely be around 300 to 320 horsepower. It's way under what it can handle, but I don't want to go too crazy on this. As my first rear engine, rear wheel drive car, I need a roll cage. And it's going to make it look cool in here, so that is happening later on. Gonna get that all powder coated nicely. I'm not going to tell you the color. I'm not going to tell you the color of the car yet either. But yeah, I've had a lot of help powder coating. I want to shout out another homie, Mario Barbosa. You'll see an amazing job he did on my intake manifold on the engine. That'll be a later video. Okay, so this video is already at like 25 minutes long. I'm sure no one is still here. So I'm gonna finish it off here real quick. Close this door. So yeah, quick overview. 1979 Porsche 911 SC. Been rebuilding it. It's going for paint today. Finally, after 3 years, I am very nervous but super excited. It's getting a turbo water-cooled Subaru engine. Made it to the 915 transmission. And my long-term goal for this, I know some people might hate it, but I'm already doing so much other stuff to this car. I want to get this made into an RWB. That is how I fell in love with these cars to begin with. So once I can make it work financially, that is 100% happening. So you guys can look forward to that in the future. I'm going to end the video here. I feel like I've been rambling on about random stuff for almost 30 minutes now, so yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys like these videos, I might do more of them. I definitely prefer my Instagram time lapses with a little bit of music. Nice and easy, nice and lazy. Gets the point across, but if people want more of this, then I will be setting up shop to do these. Anyways, finally, gonna close out. Thanks for watching. This is the project. This is the last time you'll see it like this. Hopefully, once the bodywork and paint is done, I can get right into the mechanical stuff and get this car on the road.